Alrighty, so welcome to part 2 of this video where I'm going to demonstrate to you guys how to use the Cricut pen in Cricut. And the reason that I'm doing part 2 is the first part was the computer screen, and now this part is just going to be the actual demonstration. But I want to show you guys, Cricut has literally millions of pens. I don't know, I started accumulating. They have glitter pens, they have metallic pens, they have gel pens, they have all different sorts. For what I'm going to demonstrate for you though right now is, let me put these back. Oh, what else do they have? Oh, they have these infusible ink pens, which I'm going to do a demonstration on infusible ink sometime in the future. So stay tuned for that. So we're going to set that aside for this project. We're going to use, what is this one called? Light green, very berry, and black. Whenever you do anything in Design Space, and you start with like the dark color or black, Design Space recognizes it at midnight. For me, I don't know about anybody else, but for me, it automatically defaults to midnight. So I don't always remember to change it from midnight to black, which is basically the same color. So when it's going to tell me to load midnight, I'm going to load black. Okay, so another little quick tip. I got my cardstock. Right now I'm going to be using 100-pound cardstock, and what I'm going to be making is some envelopes. We're going to be drawing on some envelopes, and I'll show you the finished product in a little while. But I used this mat. I got to show you guys. I used this mat, which is standard grip mat, is green. And I don't know if you guys can see in there really well, but there's all these little paper pieces. So the paper started to rip on the standard grip mat. I was able to save it. So what I did was I changed to the light grip mat. Light grip mat is nice for paper, stuff like that. So we're going to keep our fingers crossed. The paper did not rip when it was cutting on the standard, but it may rip when it's on this light blue, this light grip mat during the cutting process. So let's see, fingers crossed. I always use no matter what I'm adhering to my mat, I always use a brayer. It just kind of helps keep everything down. Reasons why the paper would tear during the cutting process on the mat. The paper's not adhered well enough to the mat. It's the wrong mat. The mat's dirty. The blade is dirty. Like there's all these reasons. So I've cleaned my blade. I don't know if I've ever talked about that. I can talk about it with you guys really quick. When you clean your blade, there's OC, and I get it fell off. Okay, so there was a little piece of paper on the tip of that blade that just fell off. So what you can do is you push the plunger out. You guys can see that plunger there. You push it out, and where's my little lens? There it is. You're going to expose the blade, and then you're just going to take a tinfoil ball, and you're just going to poke it a few times. There is a lot of theory and a lot of myth going around that the tinfoil will sharpen your blade. It will not sharpen your blade. The blade is stainless steel. Nothing is going to sharpen it. It's stainless steel. This will clean the blade, or surgical steel, something like that. It will clean the blade, but it will not sharpen it. And depending on how often you use your blade, you really don't have to replace it that often. I don't replace mine that often. So we're gonna, I don't want the blade in here, actually. So I'm gonna stick the blade there. We're gonna pick, because we're using 100-pound cardstock in our material setting, we're gonna go to the heavy cardstock, or 100-pound. See here, it's telling us, I know you probably can't really see it, it's telling us to load the midnight pen 0.4. Well, I have black 0.4, so that's what we're gonna load. And there's an arrow on the pen, see the arrow? And a lot of times I like to have the arrow facing me. I don't know why, it's just a habit that I've gotten into. And you're going to push it down until two things. Until you hear a click and the arrow disappears. So listen for the click and the arrow disappeared. So then we're going to close the clamp. your pens, your markers, any of your writing tools, with an exception of maybe one or two other tools, will always go in clamp A. Anything that cuts, anything that you're engraving, you're embossing, you're debossing, you're scoring, anything like that goes in clamp B. Now the scoring tool, I feel like I need to make a mention of this. The scoring tool, which is this tool that I just popped in here, is specifically made for the maker. Anything with this little rotary guy on here is made for the maker. This tool, however, is one of the tools that I was talking about that go into clamp A. And this is a scoring tool. I like the wheel better because the wheel rolls on the paper, whereas the scoring tool drags and has a tendency of ripping paper. But the scoring tool, if you have an Explorer or an Air or whatever the other machines are, this is the one that you would use, is the scoring tool. For our purposes in my machine, we're going to use the scoring wheel. So we're going to pop that in there. We're going to hope and pray. Now this process is going to take a little longer. So we'll see. You're free to fast forward during this process. So basically what we're doing right now is we're just giving the, and I have a feeling it's going to rip because it's coming off in the corner. We're just giving the machine commands. So the very first thing it's going to do is it's going to score the paper. It's going to detect the scoring wheel, make sure that that's the one that we want, and it's going to score the paper. So on this piece of paper, we are I'm doing 2 envelopes. There's Christmas, those cards that I had made, that I showed you guys earlier in the first video. That's what we're making here. So the envelopes, I did some cutting. I wasn't going to bore you guys in this video with my cutting, but these shapes, these shapes I cut out with, I just put in my design space, cut them out with the Cricut Maker, and turn that one over, and voila. So that's going to be part of our card. And I did that on purpose. I did that two different sizes in my maker so that it would cut or in my design space, so it would cut two different sizes. This one here, though, this was a little bit different. So I had to treat this one, treat it like it's a child, a little bit differently. So it's word, see that it's words, right? And this is how the SVG was. It was just words. There was this white wasn't here, none of this. I don't know if you guys can see that okay. So what I wound up doing is I put this in my design space. I clicked the offset feature, and then I offset this whole thing. So this is what it now looks like. And then what I did in the bottom corner of your design space, in the same area where the contour button is, I think it's actually right next to contour, you hit the flatten button, and it'll make it all one, and you can and then it turns it into a print then cut. And so what I did is I just printed this on my computer, or on my printer, on 65-pound cardstock. And then what it does when it prints, so it'll print how many ever on the sheet, 2, let's say, and then it'll have a big black box around that. And then when you put it in your machine, a little light will come on, and it'll scan. Those are registration marks. So the machine knows where to cut, and that's how we got such precise cuts around the joy, love, peace, believe in Christmas, ho, ho, ho at the bottom. So that's how we got those nice precise cuts on that. I believe that there's a video on flattening. I don't use it very often because I usually cut paper or vinyl, but I kind of liked this for the card that I'm making. So I decided to do that with that. And I think we're almost done with this black. So then after the black will come whatever our next color is, and see, it's drawing. It's drawing exactly what I told it to draw. So I'm going to show you what I have already done. So this is the one this is one of the ones I've already done. So what I did, I don't know if you guys remember, but I went into images and I searched I think I just put in the search bar Christmas, and then under operations, I put draw only. And there was a ton of them. I had to go through how many ever to find the ones that I liked. So I found this one, I liked this, and then I found this font for the names. These are for all of my nephews and my niece. Little Christmas cards for them. And I know you can't really see, but here I'm going to show you while that's finishing. These score lines scored the paper so nicely, and now you can see it's scored. When I recommend, when you're scoring anything, and you don't have to do this, you can use anything. You can use a credit card, you can use the back of the scissors, anything. I use a bone folder. I don't know why it's called a bone folder. Maybe it's made out of bone, I have no idea. But I use a bone folder and I run the bone folder. Can you guys see? I don't know what just happened. So I use the bone folder and I run the bone folder along the line, and that's going to give me a nice crisp edge. So we're just going to start that while this is going. And let's see. So next it's telling me to load in the light green, so we're just going to pop that one right out. And so I don't lose the caps, I always put the cap on the back. That way we're not losing anything and searching for it later. So we're just going to put that in there, wait to hear the click, push it all the way down to hear the click, close the clamp, and hit start again. And I'm going to fold this. While that's finished, while that's drawing. And I really hope that it doesn't tear. I'm going to be very upset if it tears. Not that I don't have more paper, but. So, this is going to be our little envelope for our little card. See, super cute, super fun. I'll be gluing it back. I'll be gluing it together at some point. So now we're going to take the green out and we're going to put in this very berry. And I'm going to keep you guys on. We're going to see if this is going to, if the paper's going to rip, because I'm going to be very upset if the paper's going to rip. I hope not. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. The paper doesn't rip. So this part isn't going to take very long. It's this part, this winter snow scene, that's taken the most time because it's the biggest, right? We're just doing the kid's name. So now it's telling me to, so I always take my marker out or my pen out right away. So it's telling me to put in the fine point blade. So we're going to remove the scoring tool and we're going to put the fine point blade in. Let me make sure it's in right, yep. And then we're going to close the clamp. We're going to hit the play button or the little cricut button, whatever it is you have on your machine. Same button. And we're going to cross our fingers and hope it doesn't rip. So now because I programmed it to cut on 100-pound cardstock, it is going to do 2 passes on each cut. So far so good. We haven't ripped yet. Fingers crossed. So far so good. Like I said, oh, kind of skipped a little bit over there. Let's see. Hopefully it'll be okay. That one was better. Okay, so we'll unload it. And voila, that wasn't so bad. It kind of skipped a little bit up here at the top. But that's not a big rip, so I'm okay with that. And we're going to take it off. Whenever you are taking, even vinyl, when you're taking vinyl off of a mat, no matter what kind of mat you're using, you want to pull the mat away from your material. Because if you pull your material away from your mat, the material will curl. You don't want the material to curl, you want it to lay nice and flat. So you want to pull, see this one didn't rip, how nice. You want to pull your material, you want to pull the mat away from the material. And then put your plastic cover back on your mat so that it stays protected. My mats are filthy, they need to be cleaned. And then there we have it. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right, I will post pictures of this, of these cards when they're all finished. And I will be posting these videos in just a little while. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I will see you guys later.